So if there's a Serperior being used competitively, there's about a guaranteed chance that it's going to do the one thing that it always does. Its contrary Leaf Storm combo is the greatest way to sweep, and it instantly makes this thing a monster. The problem is, that's truly the only way that Serperior is ever used, until today. With a little surprise factor on our side, I think we can get a physical Sweeper Snake to destroy some people. Maybe. Its base 75 attack feels a whole lot worse when you can't just do some contrary stuff, but it's fast, and I mean, yeah, it's pretty much just fast. What I'm gonna do is set up with a potential substitute, then click Swords Dance as my opponent expects special attack spam, and then we can rely on the loaded dice held item to give us maximum hits with a scale shot. If we throw in Terra Dragon, this will hit decently hard, but also give us a speed boost in the process, allowing us to outrun almost anything. The fun part is that since we don't need to run Contrary, this opens up its ability to Overgrow. This will boost our grass damage by a big 50%, and allows us to shoot the living hell out of stuff with loaded dice, Overgrow boosted Stab Bullet C if we end up at a 3rd HP or below. I'm also going to mess around with Terra Blast Fire over the substitute option, but today, overall the plan is to use Serperior in a way that no one will expect for a nice little challenge. The Contrary set is about 100% better, but I mean, what's the fun in that? Ladies and gentlemen, over here we often find ourselves asking if we could, rather than if we should. And just Swords Dance Serperior is just so incredibly unnatural, but I think it's just kind of cool. And if this sounds like a fun time to you, you should consider hitting that subscribe button. I'm working on hitting 400k, you can help me out. And with that, let's go ahead and jump into the match. Alright, so as my opponent decides to lead off with the Raichu, I've got myself a Quagsire, and I come in just oblivious as hell. Am I in danger of being hit by a Grass Knot? Potentially yes, but that's a risk I'm willing to take. I'm going to set up my Stealth Rock here, want to see what it wants to do. It turns out this Raichu has got balls of steel. They go for a Surf, realizing I am not going to be Water Absorb. And that lets them know that I'm rocking the Unaware ability, which is not good because now they know not to set up in front of me at least. And I guess sometimes you got to just throw some water at the guy to figure out what the ability is. So, while the Surf doesn't do much damage, I'm like, this is fine. I can then just go for an Earthquake. Nothing really wants to deal with that, and I'm just gonna fire off a little Quake. Just ruin everybody's beach day and start up some good old evacuations. Now, they end up switching into Big Turkey, and Espathra is, this is a Pokemon I always forget about, and an Earthquake does a bunch of damage, and I'm like, alright, I know that's probably gonna be Speed Boost and then Stored Power, and this thing is broken as hell. Ostrich is just an absolute problem. Now, I also realized that there's probably a reason why they swapped into it, and it turns out that, yeah, they have the Energy Ball. So throw some balls right at my face, and Quagsire does just straight up go down there. So yeah, you know, that does make sense. We also, I did notice it did not have Speed Boost. So that means it's going to be, what, Opportunist, which copies stat changes. In general, though, I am afraid of this thing. It does look like it wants to speak to a manager. And I'm like, you know, you can speak to little Pincurchin. I bring this thing in because I'm going to be able to set up some electric terrain. We pee all over the floor, and as they go for the Illumina Crash, it does drop your special defense, which, you know, hurts. One thing I figure I could do is, expecting maybe them to switch, I know they can't do much to the Pincurchin, I just click a Thunder Wave, but turns out they stay in, and then I'm like, you know, this thing being Thunder Waved actually ain't all that bad anyway. So, I cripple it a little bit, and now I decide I'm going to bring in the boy Herbert. I can bring this thing in because, first of all, I get a little Quark Drive, and I know that this thing probably doesn't have any great coverage. I can come in on Illumina Crash. While that does drop my special defense, that's not really ideal. But then I figure, you know, there's a pretty good chance they get a para here. And if I can set up with a Swords Dance on this fella, it's looking over. And the Sharp Leaves are going to be a problem. So I get up a Swords Dance, I'm chilling, things are looking nice. They do get the Opportunist, but again, I don't really care about that because you can have a physical attack boost. That's not going to help you at all. They also have a Mirror Herb. And then, to my surprise, as they do not get paralyzed, this buddy's rocking double ball coverage. They go for the Shadow Ball now, and that is going to be able to take me out with the Spadef drop. I was like, well, you know, that, I guess, was worth a try. I haven't seen one of these things in forever. Turns out this one does have Shadow Ball, and, you know, ouch. But what that does do now is brings in my second Sharp Leafy boy. I can go for a substitute here, and one of these times it's gonna get paralyzed. And Serperior is going to be in a position to set up here. So, as they end up swapping into Goodra, Thick Dragon comes in looking moist. Now, the good part about that is they bring in Goodra because this is a special defense wall, obviously. But what they don't know is my Serperior has no business clicking special attack. So, as I get up a free substitute, things are absolutely in motion. Now, I have two options here. First of all, I decided to just go for a Terra Dragon boosted Scale Shot. I want to surprise him early Because I figure if I go for a Swords Dance, they probably end up swapping out. And also, if I miss, if I allow them to break my substitute and then I miss my Scale Shot, I'm gonna have a bad time. So I go full Dragon type. The snake is now Dragon, and as I go for a Scale Shot, it misses. That is the worst part about Scale Shot. It is incredibly inconsistent and absolutely breaks my balls. So it turns out though, for me, they go for a Flamethrower, which is great because now being Dragon type, I'm able to tank that. Doesn't even break my substitute, which is the tits. And now, sadly, they realize what is about to happen to him. So they switch out the Goodra. They're like, physical Scale Shot Serperior is crazy. And they decide to bring in the Dunsparce, who's generally a pretty safe guy, nice and thick. I go for the Scale Shot. Luckily, we do connect this time. So, you know, we pull out our weird little vines that I don't think I've ever noticed Serperior ever doing. And while it doesn't do great damage, it is going to be fine because I'm still behind the substitute. And what they don't know is I got that Bullet Seed on me. So I hit 4 times, and I mostly just click that for the speed boost anyway. We're now guaranteed faster than anything they've got, even if anything has a Choice Scarf. So that feels, yeah, that feels pretty good. Also, with the safety of our little substitute here, we got our stuffed animal just chilling on the battlefield, having a time. I'm gonna go for a Swords Dance. I figure, you know, now is pretty much the time. I can get my attack doubled, and while the Sparse can definitely break my sub here, what's it gonna do after that? Hopefully not enjoy a Bullet Seed. So, little fella does go for a Body Slam, and that is gonna ruin my little stuffed animal here, which is fine, because now, after a Swords Dance, and at the range we have this thing in, I'm feeling pretty confident with a Bullet Seed. And as I'm looking at it here, it's not great damage. Look, I'm base 75 attack, alright? Generally, this thing goes for like multiple Leaf Storms, but as I'm looking at it, one more hit could potentially do it. Nope, we hit it with 4. We do not get the full 5. But here they decide to just click the Stealth Rock. Rather than going for damage, they probably realize they don't have an Oko, and instead they opt for a little late game Rocks. So, I mean, that's fine with me. I can now finish it off with another Bullet Seed. I don't need to risk a Scale Shot because I don't need any more speed boosts. And that is going to be able to finish off the Sparse. So, you know, gets us a little, helps us out a bit there by clicking Stealth Rock. Is not great for everything in the back, but I mean, we're reliant on the Serperior at this point, and I've gotten this far, so things are feeling pretty good. Now, the other problem is that Muck is here, and this is a big pile of sludge that is very specially defensive, which is not generally ideal. But I decide, screw it, I'm just going for a Scale Shot here. I can hit it with a neutral attack. It is going to be Stab, and if we get 5 hits, there's a shot that this little fella is not going to have a fun time. Now look at that. One of them is able to grab a crit, and that's a fantastic part about multi-hit moves is one of them has, there is a chance that something gets a crit, and with that, we're able to finish off the Muck extremely clutch. And with 5 hits, the loaded dice coming in and making things happen. That Muck will absolutely never forget the day that he done hecked with the wrong Serperior. So, I get another speed boost for pretty much no reason. Does drop my defense, that's fine. Now as they bring in the Espathra, this fella is, you know, paralyzed, crippled, and not having a good time. So I'm like, this is fine. I can just go ahead and say Bullet Seed here. Even just to guarantee I don't miss. Now, they pull out the defensive Terra. Turns out to be Terra Fairy. And they're going to bank on the fact that I click the Scale Shot here, because if I do, I'm going to have a bad time against its heart on its head. But I go for the Bullet Seed, pop him once, pop him twice, actually just once, and that is going to take care of the Espathra. And that's a nice little last-ditch effort there, because, I mean, with the Swords Dance up, there's nothing that really wants to deal with the Serperior that they have in the back. The Muck was kind of the last thing that could potentially take an attack. Now, while they do have the full health Goodra, or at least mostly full health, this thing is thick as a bowl of oatmeal. Cannot stress that enough. But, I mean, it's generally thick on the special side, and this Serperior would be in a bad spot if it were every other Serperior in the world. But, as I go for a Scale Shot, all it's going to take is 2. Look at that. After a Swords Dance, Goodra gets absolutely destroyed. And that is what we're talking about. Swords Dance Serperior on top. So, at this point, they've got 2 Mons left. First of all, they have the Raichu, who is not going to have a fun time. And then they also have the Feraligatr in the back. Now, considering they already used their Terra, Feraligatr is just going to get destroyed by a Bullet Seed. So as they end up bringing in the Raichu here, this fella is, with his little knocked tail, not also going to enjoy a couple of seeds to the face. So they decide to head out. And that is how this Serperior could potentially make stuff happen with a little bit of luck and a lot of bit of preparation. Now, if you thought we were going to leave it there, you are incorrect. That's going to bring us into game number 2, because we're having some fun over here. We do have a little team switch up, but the Serperior remains the same. And look, if you've stuck around this far into the video, go ahead and hit that like button for me. It really does help out the channel. YouTube's like, wow, people click the button, might as well Send it to other people or something, I don't know. But with that, let's go ahead and jump into the match. Alright, so this time my opponent, they hit me with a little anti-lead. Check it out. They go with the Chandelure, because from Team Preview, they realized that, yeah, it's about 100% chance that Fortress is going to be the lead here. So, not wanting my walnuts roasted over the fire today, I realize I have to get out of here. And my best bet is going to be Kamala, just in case they want to get crazy and go for a Shadow Ball. But in general, I got an Assault Vest and I got that shit on. So I'm looking fresh and I can take special attacks. Now, problem is, they go for a trick, which is not ideal because that is going to steal my vest from me before I even got to step out in it. And instead, now I have a Scarf on, which does not fit my body type. So now I'm Choice Scarf Kamala, which is not ideal. The good thing is, at least, I know that Chandelure is going to be Assault Vest now. But also, I can just click Knock Off, and something is about to lose their item. Look, if you steal mine, something is about to lose theirs, and in retaliation, we're pissed. So, it turns out they do swap into the Alola Ninetales. I was really kind of hoping for that to be, you know, their lead option against the Fortress. But at least I'm able to get off its Light Clay before it can go for a single Aurora Veil, which honestly feels good. Knowing that they can't have the 8-turn Aurora Veil up, that's going to hopefully allow my offense to maybe touch something. So, I'm going to go right back into the Fortress. I figure, you know what, this is the matchup I wanted. This is the matchup I'm getting. So, they do click Aurora Veil. It is just snowing on the beach. Horrible time to get a tan. And I can now at least try to set up some hazards. Now, I know they probably just have the Defogger in the form of the Corviknight. And this Corviknight it's going to be a little bit of a problem to my team. So, they do just swap right into this thing as I go for the Stealth Rock. I also realized that, yep, they can just defog those right away, and I am in, once again, not a great spot with this thing. So they go for the defog here. I figure also it's fine. I'm just gonna go for a layer of spikes, force this thing to have to defog twice, at least if that's this thing's, you know, freaking plan. So I set up some spikes after my rocks go away, and I'm like, there will be some hazards over here, sir. But in general, look, the Corviknight matchup is a little bit of a crazy game of cat and mouse here. Because while my only check to this thing is going to be the Kilowattrel, they have a defensive answer and a switch-in being the Clodsire. So I go right into the anti-Corviknight here. I bring in the Kilowattrel, who does, you know, just get defogged. That should activate my ability, but it doesn't. But also now I know I cannot click Thunderbolt or Volt Switch. I know they're surely going to switch into the Clodsire. So in order to capitalize on that, I'm going to make a little prediction here and switch into Serperior. So, Kilowattrel switches out first because I am faster. Serperior's like, how the hell is it going? And then Corviknight does switch, and they do make the predictable option here going into freaking Gumdrop, who does turn out to be the Poop Sire. So, Clodsire comes in, glistening in the sunlight, and also the Aurora Veil goes away, which is great, because now I'm thinking, even if this thing does Poison Jab here, I can take at least one of them. So look, I'm going to Swords Dance in the face of this thing. And that is because the defensive core of Clodsire and Corviknight is really kind of busting my balls. I'm going to try to get something going. I think this is going to be Water Absorb and my not unaware, so maybe my Swords Dance helps me. Regardless, they do click Toxic. That's going to put me on a little bit of a timer, but I mean, that's mostly fine. Because now as I go for a Bullet Seed, we're going to get some pretty decent damage. I'm mostly just hoping for a 2-hit KO. If I can get it down to half or below half, that would feel like a pretty nice little win here. Now, as I'm only able to hit it 4 times, sadly, it does do less than half, and that's not really ideal. But this thing realizes it's probably safe versus a weird-ass physical Serperior. They decide to set up some Stealth Rock here. So that is unfortunate. Gonna break my Focus Sash on my Kilowattrel, unless I can get in, you know, Kamala, who sadly is, you know, my Rapid Spinner, but I'm Choice Scarfed, so it's getting a little weird here. But I'm just going to continue to Bullet Seed. I've gotten this far. If I can just continue to get Chip on the Clodsire, that still feels pretty solid. Now, one thing I know they can do easily is just switch into the damn Corviknight. Of course, this thing does come in. No more Stealth Rock, so it comes in safely. And it is about resistant as hell to the grass moves. So, you know, I just continue to spit some seeds at it, but it looks like it hurts him physically, but it doesn't. I can assure you this thing does not give a damn. But I get a whole bunch of hits, and at least the main thing is, I know that I have the option for the Terra Blast Fire. Now, it would be a far better option if I was a special attacking Serperior, because obviously hitting, you know, Corviknight on the physical side is not ideal, and that is one reason why this Serperior is not really that great, but it's fine. I go for the Terra Blast anyway, because I'm like, dude, screw it. I've gotten my Swords Dance up, and sometimes you gotta go with what you can. So again, I did say this Serperior is the same, but it's different. We're rocking Terra Blast Fire this time. I go for it. It does end up living, sadly. Wildly unfortunate that it lives there. But it does just click U-turn, which is kind of cool, because hey, I'm like, I grabbed some easy damage. They're now forced to switch, and their Serperior is still fast. It's faster than everything they've got naturally, even without a scale shot anyway. So, check it out. As they go back into the Clodsire, they probably think this thing is safe. And honestly, I feel like they're probably pretty safe as well. And now I'm in danger of an Earthquake while I continue to just lose health from this Toxic. And Serperior is, you know, stirring stuff up, but not having the greatest of times. But check it out. I'm going to bust out a Bullet Seed anyway, and just see how much we can do with it. If I can just break down this defensive core, we can hopefully open up the game for us. Now, this Bullet Seed seems to be doing much more for some reason, and check it out. As I'm able to grab a 5th hit, that is going to knock out the Clodsire, and that is incredibly satisfying. So we get the kill we were looking for with the Clod there, and we will absolutely take it. Now, they do not have any switch in to Kilowattrel, and that's important to note because, again, the Corviknight is still a problem, but if they don't have an easy answer switch in to a Thunderbolt from the Kilowattrel, that's going to be really good for me. So that opens the game up quite a bit, and Serperior is out here doing the damn thing. Now, they decide to bring back in the Alolan Ninetales. I've got 1 hit left in me as I have 2 HP, and I figure, you know what, this is perfect. I'm in Overgrow here, so I can go for a Bullet Seed. They probably think the defense boost they get from the snow is going to be enough to be able to live and attack. Think again. I pop them 3 times with an Overgrow boosted Stab Bullet Seed, and that is going to knock out the Alolan Ninetales, which is fantastic before they were able to get up in Aurora Veil. And that's pretty damn clutch. So Serperior honestly just made a big difference in the match. We do sadly go down to the Toxic. It would have been really nice had that Clodsire not Toxic us, because honestly after that we're looking really good. And likely just have a full body bag with Serperior. But instead, we do go down. We find ourselves in an empty battlefield situation. But look, the defensive core is whittled down to the point where I'm feeling relatively safe. And I don't know exactly what they want to bring in, but I'm going to go Kilowattrel because it's fast. I have the option to Volt Switch. They have no more ground type, and my big-ass bird is feeling pretty safe. So, one thing, you know, for sure in the match is that you're never safe if this asshole's still around. So, Dragonite is very scary, and I am fully expecting a Dragon Dance Extreme Speed set because that's the only thing this thing ever does. So, as I go for a Volt Switch, one important note is that I break this thing's multi-scale, so now I'm able to at least hit it decently hard. And my main check to this is going to be in the form of some Disco Balls. So as I bring in Weezing, I expect a Dragon Dance here, and that is what they do. So they start dancing, give me a little free show. Granny in the back is all about it. She's fired up, and this thing is immediately a threat. So one thing is, though, this is a fully defensive Weezing. So I know that I can take attacks from it. It can't Earthquake because I'm Levitate, and I have the Will-O-Wisp, and that's fine. So I'm like, as long as I can burn this fella, we're feeling good. So they are going to pull out the Terra. And you guessed it, it's going to be Terra Normal Dragonite, because that's just what... Dragonite gets dripped the hell out these days. He don't step out unless there's diamonds glistening on his head. So they go for the Terra Normal, pull out the Extreme Speed at +1 with a Dragon Dance that's going to hurt. And it does. The Disco Ball does not really enjoy, but I connect on a Will-O-Wisp, so I'm thinking, thank God, crisis averted. We've got the burn on the thing. We will not be swept by a Dragonite today. Except, nope, it has a Lumberry that is wildly unfortunate. There's always a Lumberry when you really least expect it. So it heals its burn, but I'm thinking that's fine. I can live another Extreme Speed, and guess what, buddy? I'm going to burn you again. So they realize that they don't have a knockout here. So they decide to pull out another Dragon Dance, and I'm like, all right, thank God. Crisis averted again. I go for the Will-O-Wisp, and it misses. Will-O-Miss, living up to the name, absolutely got my balls in a vice grip, and that is incredibly unfortunate. First we get it healed away from a surprise Lumberry, and then a miss. You've got to be kidding. So here's the thing, one thing I can do though, right? I know that they want to click Extreme Speed here, because I've seen that's what they clicked before. So knowing that Walnut can live at least one of them, I have myself a red card, and if I can force this thing out, is it going to solve the problem? Absolutely not. But if I can postpone the problem, that generally feels pretty good. When in doubt, just put it off. So they go for the Extreme Speed. Obviously, I do take it because I'm bulky as hell. And then I'm like, not today. Go ahead and get the hell out of here and try to Dragon Dance later. So that forces out the Dragonite, which is great. But unfortunately for me, it brings in Corviknight. And this is the one thing I did not want to come in because of the fact that if it has Roost, it's just going to get all its health back. And I'm like, that would be unfortunate. But I figure, you know, I'm basically forced to just switch into Kilowattrel here. It is basically my safe bet. Now the problem becomes, the more times I switch into these Stealth Rocks, this thing is gonna not be looking too healthy. And I'm already at half HP. They do go for the Roost, sadly, brings it back above half. and that is not great. Now, the good thing is at least a Thunderbolt does do enough to knock it out still, and I just click T-Bolt here regardless. Now, they don't have a whole lot that really wants to switch into that, and it's starting to feel like this Kilowattrel is definitely becoming my win condition here, and I need to play my cards right with this Wattrel, just because in the back they have a Dondozo, I need it against the Corviknight, and I am frightened. But as they go into Chandelure here, the T-Bolt doesn't do as much as I would have hoped for without the Stealth Rock. That puts me in a decently bad spot because I'm forced to swap out, and Kilowattrel only really has one more switch in unless I get rid of the Stealth Rock. So I go into the Cyclizar here as they Flamethrower, which does get a critical hit, which is annoying. So this is roast me way harder than I thought I was going to be. But at least I know I can outspeed here and go for a Dragon Claw. Now the bad thing is I have to go for the safe play here. I can't afford to risk and switch back into Kilowattrel, knowing that the Corviknight just comes back in. That's just what this damn thing does, dude. I go for the Dragon Claw. It lives it with it easily, up the freaking half. And also I get destroyed by its helmet and my Life Orb, and then Cyclizar's Bikel's just wasted just like that. So not the greatest turn of events, but here's the thing. That actually isn't horrible, because what I can do is go back into Kilowattrel. Now, I take a ton from the Stealth Rock, but one thing we know for sure is their only thing that could switch in was that Chandelure. So I go for a T-Bolt, and one great part about it is we know that Chandelure can't come in, take an attack, and then take another. So even though we gave this thing an Assault Vest, which I kind of forgot about, that's why it's taking these attacks so nicely, the T-Bolt is going to put it into range for one more to knock it out. So that is perfect, and that is going to be able to take care of the Chandelure. And just like that, Kilowattrel is looking relatively safe and hopefully, you know, be able to provide some enough value to bring the game back for us. So the bad problem is, of course, freaking Dragonite. Once again, we put off this problem and now we got to deal with it. So I figure I could just switch into Weezing. If they Dragon Dance here, I think I can live one attack and then get off a Will-O-Wisp. But as I bring in the Disco Balls, we're ready to party, and it looks like, you know, it looks like a damn disco out here, but it is not, because as they go for an extreme speed rather than the setup, two of them is just going to be enough to knock me out after the Black Sludge. So that is not great, because once again, extreme speed Dragonite just busting my balls via a speedy extreme fashion. So they go for one more. It is going to be able to take care of the Weezing, which sucks, and I now find myself in a spot where, you know, a place you never want to be in is when Komala turns out to be your best bet. I'm forced to go into Komala here. That's because, you know, without any setup, I know that I can take one attack from this thing. And I know it's going to want to Dragon Dance here, and I need to get a little something going with my little log-wielding koala. So I go for the Body Slam. I realize that's going to do great damage, but also it has a chance for a para. And they do click the Dragon Dance, and my worst fear is nearly coming to fruition. They set up a little bit here. But as I go for the Body Slam, check this out. First of all, big damage from the Koala, but we also get the Para, which is incredibly clutch. It's going to be unable to move, and now, unless they, with an extreme speed, I should be able to live at least one of them, but they do swap, because, you know, literally, why not? They have the Corviknight back there, but instead, they go into the Dondozo. So Donbozo comes in looking massive, just beached-ass whale on the beach here, and a Body Slam does a little bit of chip, doesn't do much, but, I mean, I'm now in a spot where I kind of need to get rid of the Stealth Rock to bring in Kilowattrel. So I figure if I can, I actually have 2 Rapid Spinners on the team. A lot of the time I find myself in a spot where I don't have any Rapid Spinners. Now I've got 2. So I figure, you know, Fortress can come in safely here and take a Body Press, which is sweet. So imagine getting Body Pressed by a whale. That would hurt. But I live it easily. And now this is going to allow me to Rapid Spin. If I can get rid of these Stealth Rocks, then it's looking like, as long as Dragonite doesn't have anything to say about it, we're going to be able to hopefully clean the game up with Kilowattrel. Again, that's the late game I'm playing toward, but it's easier said than done, because as I go for the Rapid Spin, in comes, you know, Corviknight, who does hurt me with its Rocky Helmet, which is annoying, but I get rid of the rocks, and that was exactly what we needed. So Corviknight's surely just going to go ahead and roost here. So I'm like, you know, that's fine. I'm just going to set up a layer of spikes just for the road. But instead, they just click the Brave Bird. So I figure, hey, that's fine. Sometimes the Corviknight's feeling brave, and you just gotta let him do its thing. So, the game is now open to at least bring in the Kilowattrel safely. And while the Dragonite is still in the back with the extreme speed to pick me off, I need the Kilowattrel for Corviknight. I need it for the Dondozo. And they end up swapping here, which is actually nice for me, because then they end up bringing in the Dragonite here, who is looking paralyzed, and they probably just realized it's better off as a sack. And that is great for me. So Thunderbolt is able to take care of the D-Knight. Now they're down to 2 Mons left. It's going to be the Dondozo along with the Corviknight. And shout out to Serperior for taking care of that Clodsire earlier, because that would be a massive problem. But as they bring in the Dondozo now, all depending on how this thing is built, if it can live a Thunderbolt, we are in trouble. But you bet your ass I'm clicking it. No more shenanigans. The battle timer is taken away, and the Thunderbolt is enough to be able to take care of it. I get a critical hit, which I think probably mattered there. But will I take it? Absolutely, because now the final mon is going to be the Corviknight, and we have officially busted through the crazy defensive squad. So Corviknight now gets to get I guess spared from a Thunderbolt, as they're going to go ahead and run. But that is going to be the end of the game, and I thought that was a crazy match. Honestly, well played on my opponent's end. But we got a little crit there at the end that helped us out. But in general, still a really fun game. So look, that's now going to bring us into match number 3, because I got one little bonus one here for you, because I do want to see if we can get Serperior to do just a little bit more if possible. It's not easy to get going, that's for damn sure, but it can do something, and we're going to see what we can get going here. So with that, let's jump into the next game. Alright, so this time my opponent's going to go ahead and lead off with the Electric Yeti. They're going to go full Electivire on the lead, and I did not expect, but I mean, hey, that's fine. I got a Shield Face, I go Bastiodon here. We do see it floating with its air balloon, which is not great, but I'm just here to set up some Stealth Rock, blow up and act like I didn't know nobody. So they do go for a turn 1 Trailblaze, which is a little bit frightening. It's gonna boost this thing's speed, but for the most part, unless it gets crazy attack boosts, I'm not that afraid of an Electivire. So, I mean, especially an Earthquake is gonna hurt, but I think I can live at least one of them, and that is what this thing is built to do. Check it out. They go for the Earthquake, I live it nicely, and then I fire off a Metal Burst that returns the damage with 50% added on, and that is going to take care of the Electivire and also pop its air balloon in the process. So no more birthday party for you. I like to imagine I just go up with a nice little pin, pop it right in its face, and that thing had a bad birthday. So they also have the freaking Electivire sibling. They decide to now go into the Magmortar, who is far more scary than the Electivire if you're a steel type fella. And I realized that I have to get out of here. I'm not in Custat Berry range. I was just close to it, not quite, but I figured maybe I could save that for later and see if I can get any value out of it. Now, as I go Kamala, again, I'm Assault Vest, which I do get to keep on this time, thank God. And the Scorching Sands also does not burn me, which that feels pretty nice. But now as they go for a Fire Spin, Buddy wants to lock me in, which I figure, I'm kind of fine with that. I click the knockoff here, get some big old damage, but also I get rid of its Wise Glasses. I like to imagine this Kamala as the school bully. Knocks his glasses on the ground, stomps on him, and then steals his lunch money. So get Koala there. But I'm able to live one attack because of the freaking Assault Vest. And then one more knockoff is able to take care of the Magmortar. So, down goes the crazy siblings. And this is going to allow them to switch into Chomp. So I figure Garchomp here, it's probably the general just Rocky Helmet, Rough Skin, Stealth Rock guy. So I'm just going to click a knockoff just in case. Turns out, though, they do just they go for the Poison Jab, likely expecting maybe a switch into Rabombi. But that does take care of the Koala regardless, and that kind of hurts. So honestly, though, knowing that they just clicked the Poison Jab, I obviously they have coverage, but I'm going to go Serperior anyway. Because not only can I live one, but I also feel like I can get up a Swords Dance, be able to live it, and be in freaking Overgrow range. So check it out. They go for the Poison Jab, knocks me down to 50, exactly 1/3. And now, while I want to click a Bullet Seed, I opt for the Scale Shot. I know it's super effective, and after a Swords Dance, it will knock this thing out. But the reason why I want the speed boost from the Scale Shot is just in case of any surprise Choice Scarfers back there. We're able to knock out the Chomp incredibly satisfyingly, so that's gonna be a dead-ass Chomp. We now are at +2 attack and +1 speed, and we're absolutely zooming out here. So, again, we're also in Overgrow, so nothing really wants to deal with a little Bullet Seed action, and Serperior is fully set up just like that. Is it easier said than done? Yes, because while they also have Metagross here, though I am in fact worried about a priority Bullet Punch. But I figured now is a pretty good opportunity to go ahead and pull out the Terra Fire. It's going to work for both defense and offense here. If they do have the Bullet Punch, might be able to live just one of them. I do have a defense drop, but with the resist, we're looking pretty safe. And also, then I can Terra Blast Fire his ass. So, it turns out though, I do just go first. It's not going to pull out the Bullet Punch and burn his ass to a crisp. That is a red ring of death on the Xbox 360, and Serperior is able to grab a satisfying kill there. So we're absolutely zooming. We're having a nice little time. But in comes the Water Wings. Now this is the main thing I was worried about being Choice Scarfed, because at least I know I can outspeed with a Bullet Seed, but it has priority with the Aqua Jet. It's able to fire off the Jet. It's going to be able to now knock me out since I went for the Terra Fire. and Serperior goes down, sadly. This is a more realistic game of what the Serperior is able to do. It's often not going to grab the body bag like in game 1, but, you know, it at least came in a bit clutch there. We knocked out the Garchomp, knocked out the freaking Metagross, and now we got to see if we can pull the game back. So, I decided to bring in Weezing, and I'm just going to click a T-Bolt here, knowing that I can take any physical attack in the damn world. A Wave Crash does hurt. It does almost do half, but luckily I fire off the T-Bolt and it lives, though. So, I mean, you know, at what cost? But I'm over here just puffing some smoke, having a little, smoking a little cigarette out here, and I don't really want to take more damage. So I decide, knowing that they're just going to Wave Crash again, surely I can just go into Bastiodon here, who is going to work as a function as a cool little sack switch. So it turns out they just flip turn, they flip me off and turn. So, you know, rude, but now they knock me out with that, which feels pretty good because now they have to go into whatever they want, and then I can decide to match up accordingly and get something going. So again, similar to the Dragonite in the previous game, the Gyarados here is a bit of a problem. What I do not want to happen is this asshole setting up some Dragon Dances. And also, though, as we noticed the leftovers, this is exactly why we saved the Weezing chip. That's just exactly because I need to be able to Will-O-Wisp the Gyarados here. I also could click Thunderbolt, but I know that they have a defensive Terra in the back, and I figure it's not worth risking just clicking Thunderbolt. I go for the Wisp here. Now, it does go for the Terra Ground, fearing that Thunderbolt they saw on their Floatzel, and surely this thing is going to start to set up here, and it's going to be a problem. But it just goes for a Waterfall, which is great. I guess also would be great if I didn't flinch. I get flinched by the Waterfall, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding. I sometimes forget that Waterfall can even flinch you, but I mean, it's fine. I don't take much damage from that. I get some health back from a Black Sludge, and there's still another chance to Wisp here. So I'm like, this is fine. I'm just going to connect on a Will-O-Wisp, be on my way. They go for another Waterfall here, and I leave it with 25, but I flinch again. You're talking double Waterfall flinches. I don't even know what the odds of that happening are, but I haven't even been flinched by a Waterfall in about 28 fortnights, and then I just get flinched twice in a row by it. Absolutely amazing, because that's incredibly bad, knowing that now this next Waterfall is going to be able to kill me. So I'm like, Jesus, this Weezing has been having a tough day out here, and now at least does get the sweet, sweet release of death. So, you know, down goes Weezing. It's now going to get a Moxie boost, and this Gyarados is a problem. Had I gotten a Wisp on it, wouldn't have been afraid at all, but Weezing just got absolutely destroyed by flinches, and now I'm just down to 2 Mons left, which is not a safe space to be. But at this point, I just gotta do what I can. No, I go Ribombee. I know I can live 1 attack. I'm Focus Sash, plus it only has 1 Moxie boost. I think I can live 1 attack, but I'm also faster. So I can go for a Moonblast, get a little bit of chip here, entirely necessary. Now, what they have in the back is gonna be that Floatzel. That's the only Mon they have left, and it shouldn't be able to switch in on the hazards anyway. So as long as I can get through this Gyarados, we can pull the game back. Now, they click Ice Fang for some reason. Doesn't matter, I could live any attack. But as I fire off 1 more Moonblast, it's not going to be enough to knock it out. And then 1 Waterfall is going to take care of my beat. But thankfully for me, as they have not set up any Dragon Dances, the great news is while they get another Moxie, they're feeling powerful, but they're not going to be faster than my Cyclizar in the back. And hopefully, you know, Cyclizar doesn't, for whatever reason, you know, miss a freaking Dragon Claw. But at this point, anything is possible. So I bring in Baikel. I got a tire on my neck. I'm feeling fast. And as I can go for a Dragon Claw here, we got just enough chip to knock out the Gyarados, which is amazing, because with that gone, all they've got left is going to be young Water Wings. And thank God that we did not lose to that Gyarados. So we take a little bit of Life Orb chip, does not matter, but what does matter is Floatzel's going to come in and say hello for a second, and then be like, oh, actually, I just got stabbed by some rocks and popped my freaking floaty. So that is going to be able to take care of the Floatzel. And that is effectively going to be the end of the game. So kind of just a goofy match there. Regardless, still a pretty fun one. And just over here, just messing around, having ourselves a little time. So that's going to do it for the video. Thank you guys very much for watching. I do appreciate the support. This was a long one. If you're still here, I appreciate you. And I'll catch you next time. Peace out.